Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Jaydeep Sharangi. I teach English, Literature and Language, Jogesh Chandra Chaudhary College, University of Calcutta, Kolkata. In this particular schedule, we are going to learn Module 22, that is Robert Herrick and 4 of his representative poems. This module is written and prepared by Dr. Kalyani Dikshit, Dayananda Anglo-Vedic PG College, Lucknow. Hello friends. In this particular module, we are going to look at the contribution of Robert Herrick. In the previous module, we have learned one of the dominant issues of the early Elizabethan lyrics, Carpe diem. We will examine how Carpe diem is a recurring factor in this particular poems. At the same time, in details we will study Robert Herrick, one of the cavalier poets of his generation, and 4 poems that we are selecting will be discussed in details. Hope after the module you will have a comprehensive view about the early Elizabethan sonneteers with reference to the cavalier poet Robert Herrick and his representative poems. Friends, Robert Herrick was born in the year 1591. His father committed suicide when he was very young, but this gifted boy translated his sentiments into poetry. I think for many of us it is inspirational. He died as a bachelor in 1674 at the age of 83. He belonged to the group of cavalier poets. The other poets of this group are St. John Suckling, Sir Richard Lovelace and Thomas Carew. Robert Herrick was a prolific poet. He composed 2,500 poems approximately, so you can easily understand the vastness of scope and parameters of Robert Herrick. The best known work for Robert Herrick is Hesperides, and Robert Herrick is famous for our short lyrics. Some of his poems were written in momentary transitoriness, and they reflect monometers. And friends, by the time you have profound understanding of Carpe diem, let us even then talk about the relationship between Robert Herrick and Carpe diem motive. He also wrote some important and immortal poems on Carpe diem motive. Herrick's collection of poems entitled Hesperides is noted for the famous leitmotif Carpe diem, to the virgins and to make much of time are so to remember with. His poems contain the message that the life is transitory, short, not permanent, and one must make the best use of time which he or she is in. His other famous Carpe diem poems are To Daffodils, To Sylvia, To Wed, A Lyric to Mirth, On Himself, To Live Merrily and to Trust Good Verses, The Changes to Cornea, To Be Merry, To Blossoms and Corinna, Going a-Maying, To Live Merrily and to Trust Good Verses. Poems on famous personalities. Robert Herrick made poems or wrote poems about different subjects. In our following discussion, we will trace out some of them. Number 1, poems on famous personalities. He composed poems on famous personalities like Sir Clipsey Crewe, Mrs. Elizabeth Wheeler, the Earl of Westmoreland, the Countess of Carlisle, Earl of Pembroke, Duke of Richmond, Earl of Dorset, Sir John Berkeley, Mrs. Charles Cotton, Mistress Bridget Lawman. So you can easily understand how popular he was and how he wrote on popular figures in England. Now let us talk about his Julia poems. The most common and frequently occurring character of his poems is Julia. So Julia is a character recurringly used in Herrick's poems. He wrote many poems on Julia. Number 1, Upon Julia's Fall. Number 2, To Julia. Number 3, Cherry Pit. Number 4, Upon Her Blush. Number 5, On Julia's Picture. Number 6, To Dialysis. Number 7, Not to Shut So Soon, and Upon Julia's Clothes. Herrick is also famous for love poems. Love is the central theme or subject of his poems, and he places love as which can triumph over time. His poems on love are Of Love, Upon Love, I Call and I Call, Two Virgins, A Short Hymen to Venus, Not to Love, Upon Cupid, and Upon Her Voice show his ideas on love. So there is a host of poems dealing with love as set a contrast to the devouring or destructive features of time. Another important subject of his poems is nature. So there can be a spatial discourse on nature poems by him. His poems on nature reflect his eyes for beauty in natural phenomena. He wrote on daffodils, violets, roses, lilies, primroses, tulips, marigolds, blossoms, and pansies. That means the list or the catalogue is ad infinitum. So many flowers are covered under his discussion. To the virgins to make much time, gather he rosebuds while ye may. Old time is still a flying, and this same flower that smiles today, tomorrow will be dying. I think many of us are aware of these lines, which sum up the truth, the conflict between beautiful object and eternity. According to him, no beautiful object is eternal. Time has the last thing to say. Gather ye rosebuds while you may. Please collect rosebuds while you can. It means, or it implies, if it is spring, enjoy the blessings of spring weather. Old time is still a flying. Old time is there. Time is old. And this same flower that smiles today, tomorrow will be dying. The flower which look beautiful today, tomorrow they will lose their petals and charms and look not as good as today. The glorious lamp of heaven, the sun, the higher he is getting, the sooner will he raise the sun, and nearer he is to setting. The age is best, is the first, when youth and blood are warmer. All his poems celebrate the time of youth, where he says blood is warmer. That means that is the time when man should maximally utilize the time. You may forever tarry. Friends, we have already discussion on Carpe Diem. This poem belongs to the genre of Carpe Diem tradition. Carpe Diem is a Latin phrase meaning seize the day. That means the day fleets and you should maximally use the best time when you are passing through. Carpe Diem deals with the briefness of beauty and the devouring, destructive power of mighty time. Now let us talk about To the Virgins to Make Much of Time. The poem is divided into 4 stanzas of 4 lines. In the opening stanza, he weaves the metaphors of roses. Then he writes, gather ye rosebuds while ye may. Here roses are vehicles of sensuality, for the fulfillment of physical pleasures. Life of the virgin has been compared with the life of a rose. The lifespan of a virgin is as short as the lifespan of a rose. Time is running out of hands. The flower that smiles today will wither away tomorrow. In the same way, virgins will also are property of time. They will lose their charm as the day progresses. In the second stanza, the sun has been portrayed as the glorious lamp of the heaven. The rising and setting sun symbolize the blooming of youth and approach of old age and death. In the last stanza, he advises them not to be coy. The time spent once never returns again in life. So, both these poems we have talked so far have the tendency to discuss or portray the devouring or destructive feature of time. Even the onslaught of time is the reality or the hardship that one has to come along when things are described as beautiful. Now, another poem that we should read carefully, Corinna's Going A-Maying. Get up for shame, the blooming morn, upon her wings present the god unsworn. See how Aurora throws her fair, fresh quilted colors through the air. Get up, sweet slug abed, and see the dew bespelling harv and tree. And this poem also talks about how the importance of time in man's life. One should get up and one should not postpone things. One should do it at once, because one should maximally use the time when he is passing through the best phase of life. Corinna's Going A-May concludes with a line, "Come, my Corinna, come, let's go a-Maying." As May symbolizes summer in England, the beautiful summer, so he asks Corinna to join hand in hand and to the best use of summertime in England. Corinna's Going A-Maying is a song as a group of carpe diem images. It is a collage of images. It can be defined as a lyric with pastoral setting. Here Corinna is a beautiful girl who is being coaxed by a young man who is supposed to be her lover. Here the poet calls his beloved to get out and join the company of people to marry the May Day, which symbolizes spirits of the time or enjoyments of life. The last stanza has been cited extensively as the example of carpe diem. The poet calls his beloved to enjoy the life in the prime time of youth. Soon she shall grow old and die. Life is brief and days are running out of time or out of hands. Time is destroying everything. They are also decaying. After close reading of Corinna Going A-Maying, let us switch over to Daffodils, and we will be looking into the subject closely. Fair daffodils, we weep to see you haste away so soon. Yes, yet the early rising sun has not attained his soon. Stay, stay, until the hasting day has run but to the even song. and having prayed together, we will go with you along. We have short time to stay as you. We have as short a spring, as quick a growth to meet decay, as you or anything we die, as your hours do and dry away like the summer's rain, as the pearls of morning's dew, never to be found again. As you go to the tempo of the poem, you can easily understand how it is a recurrent motive for Herrick to discuss or harp on the Carpe Diem motif. Two Daffodils is a short poem by Herrick which is based on the theme of Carpe Diem, and the poet expresses his grief over the quick decay of his beautiful flower. They bloom for a very short period of time. The first dying of such flowers make the poet really sad. These flowers die before the noontime. They can't even stay till the sunset. Here daffodils symbolize human life. He praises the beauty of these flowers. At the same time, he categorizes them as party to time's onslaught. Two daffodils, he says, is just like the daffodils, we too have a short spring. Here spring season is symbolic to youth. Life has been compared to the rain of summer season, which also lasts for a very short period of time. It comes and goes. Hello friends, after the reading of daffodil poems by Herrick, let us switch over to the changes to Corinna, in which we will also look into the subject of Carpe Diem from close reading of the text. Be not proud, but now incline your sharp ear to discipline. You have changes in your life, sometimes peace, sometimes strife. You have ebbs of fish and flows, as your health or comes or goes. You have hopes and doubts and fears, numberless as your years. You have pulses that to beat, high and passions less of heat. You are young, but must be old. To these you must be told, time ere long will come and plough, loathed furrow in your brow, and the dimmers of your eye will no other thing to imply, but you must die as well as I. Whatever beautiful you may be, you are subject to death and decay. This poem is addressed to Corinna. Once again, here he advocates the changes in human life and sentiments. Here he wants her that being young and beautiful, she must not be proud of herself, because she too is a property to be old. Her physical beauty will decay as time's onslaught is a party to her. Her shining eyes will soon diminish like all other living creatures. The poet warns her by saying that both of them will die soon, as they must make best use of their best time available for themselves. Friends, in this particular module, module number 22, we have looked at Robert Herrick as a lyricist, as a poet. We have also tried to embrace how Robert Herrick is important among the early Elizabethan lyricists. We have explained some of his poems with reference to close reading of texts, and we have tried to establish the fact that there is interconnection between the subject of Carpe Diem that we have elaborate discussion in module number 21 and application of that in module number 22. Thank you.
Robert Herrick was born in August of 1591. Sadly, less than a year after his birth, his older brother died a few days before his father, who committed suicide by jumping out a 4-story window. leaving his mother with 7 children. Robert most likely attended Westminster and became an apprentice to his uncle as a goldsmith in 1607. After 6 years, he entered St. John's College in Cambridge, graduating with a Bachelor of Arts degree in 1617 and a Master of Arts in 1620. Herrick then became an elder in the Sons of Ben, a group of Cavalier poets who idolized Ben Jonson, an English poet, actor, and dramatist.
In 1623, Herrick was ordained as a deacon and a priest in the Church of England. He later became a chaplain for the Duke of Buckingham and went on to survive a naval attack against the French. For his bravery, Herrick was given the vicarage of Dean Prior by King Charles I.
Herrick presided over the vicarage for 17 years, until Devonshire became involved in a civil war in 1642. His unwavering royalism caused him to be expelled from Devonshire by the Puritans. Returning to London in 1648, Herrick published his first and only book of poems, Hesperdes, or the works of both human and divine of Robert Herrick. In 1660, he was restored to his vicarage and served there until he died on October 15, 1674.